Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, thank you all for coming. Let's see, what shall we talk about today? Well, there's the fact that the Olympics just started yesterday. And we didn't win any gold medals. It's the first time after a long time, after decades. Usually first day, the USA won some gold medals, but not this year. Okay, so maybe it's a decline of the American culture, because now the whole world is becoming Chinese. Never mind. I noticed that YongHua has been coming regularly recently, and YongHua from San Jose. She's a Pure Land follower. She used to have her own Pure Land group. She took care of them for a long time, and I'm curious because as I can remember, she's. I tried to tell her to come to the Chan class and learn meditation, but she says, no, I'm a Pure Land person. I don't think I'm going to be enlightened, so forget it. Just all I want is to go to the Pure Land. And now, I'm not sure what happened, but she's here along with her beloved husband as well. So, what happened? Is it okay to ask her? Can't hear you.
Cái máy này nó không có
No, we can hear her now.
You go on this. Some problem. I fix it.
Okay, go ahead.
Dạ thưa, câu hỏi của thầy là gì ạ?
She couldn't hear the question?
Dạ, hỏi về cái người chồng tên là YongHua. Thì
No, not that one. I'm asking about her personally. Yeah, why are you
Như Đạo Phật, thầy hỏi là
meditating now?
Bây giờ con qua tu thiền. Dạ, con xin trả lời.
I will translate into English for her.
Dạ, trước kia thì con chuyên tu tịnh độ trong một thời gian dài, 15 năm.
And before I used to specialize in practicing Pure Land Dharma for a long time, 15 years.
Bắt đầu với tu tịnh độ thì thấy rất là an lạc và định được âm.
When I first started, I felt very peaceful and I was able to still my mind.
Nhưng mà qua 5 tháng thì con cảm thấy là chỉ được có bao nhiêu đó thôi, không có tiến bộ.
And over time I realized that's about it. I couldn't get much improvements.
Tại sao con cảm thấy không tiến bộ là bởi vì con xét lại cái tâm mình. Để qua những cái thời khóa tu thì vọng tưởng cứ lăng xăng và phiền não cũng thường khởi lên.
How did I know? I knew because I checked myself and realized that all my cultivation, especially during these cultivation sessions, I realized my mind was still very busy. I still have a lot of thoughts, and in particular, I had a lot of afflictions.
Không những chỉ riêng con như vậy mà con quan sát những bạn đồng tu ở trong chúng rất là đông, thì con thấy rằng không có ai mà giảm bớt được phiền não, và những cái chuyện lộn xộn trong chúng vẫn thường xảy ra.
Not just myself personally, but I also notice it's the same for my collaborators and the people in our Pure Land group. By the way, this commentary, they used to have over 100 people who would come regularly to practice together, all seeking for rebirth to the Pure Land.
Từ đó con suy nghĩ rằng nếu mình còn sống, còn khỏe mạnh, còn tu mà mình không làm chủ được mình, thì lúc bệnh, lúc chết mình cũng sẽ không có thể nhất tâm niệm Phật.
And so I realized then, I had this realization that while I'm alive and I could not even handle my own thoughts, my own afflictions, my own suffering, how on earth am I going to be able to be in control at the time of death?
Như vậy là trong giờ phút lâm chung, cái nghiệp sẽ dẫn mình đi, chứ không phải là Đức Phật đến tiếp dẫn mình, bởi vì tâm của mình ngay lúc đó sẽ rất là loạn động hoặc là sợ hãi.
And so therefore, I figured that if that's the case, then at the time of death, it's my karmic retribution that will take over and lead me astray, instead of expecting the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to come and bail me out.
Vì vậy, theo lời dạy của Thầy, thì con bắt đầu vừa tu tịnh độ và vừa tu thiền, thì con thấy rằng có cái kết quả khả quan.
So that's why I decided to follow Master's instructions to practice both Pure Land and chant in parallel. And because of that, I noticed some significant improvements.
Khi tu thiền theo phương pháp dạy của Thầy, thì ngồi kiết già, thì ngay trong lúc ngồi thì tâm rất là dễ định, và cứ ráng ngồi lâu hơn thì cái thời gian định tâm được lâu hơn.
And according to the Master's instructions, I first started by getting in a full lotus, and getting in a full lotus helped increase my concentration. And then next, I prolonged my sits, and the longer I sat, the more concentrated, the calmer I became.
Và khi cái tâm thường định như vậy đó, thì con cảm thấy rằng con được sáng suốt hơn, và khi mà mình được sáng suốt hơn thì cái phiền não nó không có quấy rầy mình nhiều như lúc trước.
And that's why I realized that with my being calm and my mind more still, my head is clearer, and therefore, and I can increase my concentration a lot more, and that's why I realized the great advantages.
Như thế thì ngoài những cái thời giờ công phu, thì tâm con ít phiền não, Và nhờ ít phiền não như vậy mà con cảm thấy rằng đường về cực lạc nó cũng không xa lắm.
And that's then I realized even beyond or outside of my meditation practices or Pure Land practices, I realized that my mind was still at peace, and I would still have fewer afflictions, and therefore I felt that there's better hope for me to go to the Pure Land.
Đó là nói về phần tự lực, nhưng mà pháp môn tịnh độ thì cần phải nương vào tha lực. Và con trong quá trình hơn 10 năm nay thì con rất là tin tưởng ở pháp 49 ngày và pháp vãng sanh do thầy giúp đỡ.
And that's just to mention the self-help part of the Pure Land Dharma. On the other hand, the Pure Land Dharma door also has the advantages of getting others' help. And over the last 10 years, I increased my beliefs, my faith in the Master's 49-day Dharma and rebirth Dharma as well.
Cho nên nhân dịp đây con kính cảm tạ ơn Thầy đã giúp con tu tiến bộ, và đồng thời con rất là xem như là mình có bảo hiểm để được chắc chắn đi về Tây Phương Cực Lạc. A Di Đà Phật, con xin hết.
And therefore, I like to end by expressing my gratitude to the Master for helping me guide my cultivation and help me make progress. Okay, very good. Thank you for your input. I had a couple of questions when I was translating, but I forgot now what those were. I only react to the data that I receive, and then the two more than one, and I get confused. Okay, very good. That's why it has been the case that we advocate the practice of parallel practice of the joint practice of Pure Land and Chan, because it's a lot more beneficial for you. She mentioned a few aspects of it, which are, number one, the combination of the practice like that will help increase people's concentration. Therefore, they can recite the Buddha's name better. Okay, and that's what Master YongHua also did in the past. When he first started, he also taught. I discovered recently through his Dharma talks, tapes, that he started by teaching Pure Land and Chan at the same time as well. And I don't know what happened in a translation. In a translation of his teachings from Chinese into English into Vietnamese, somehow that information got lost until we listened to the Chan Chi tapes, early Chan Chi that the Master organized in the early 70s, 1970s. He mentioned that, he said, I'm teaching you Mahayana, but we're practicing Pure Land and Chan at the same time. And it turns out, if I may say so, great minds meet. Ching. No? Okay, never mind. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do. We stumble on the same thing, and Master YongHua did, because my objective was to build your concentration you need to build your concentration first. In particular, I noticed that it's like YongHua commented, the people who specialize in the Pure Land Dharma door, unfortunately, this is very disappointing to me. It's not meant to be criticism, but to me, disappointing that people have been practicing the Pure Land Dharma door like YongHua for 10 years or more, and the level of samadhi is so low. And that's unacceptable. You practice that many years, and yet your samadhi level is that low. By low, I mean predominantly student and teachers' level are just too low to be able to understand the Pure Land Dharma door. Therefore, they're groping in the dark. And that to me, it's pitiful, because you spend so much effort and so much time. You invested so many resources in your life trying to do a spiritual practice with the hope of going to the Pure Land. It's unlikely that many of them would make it. So that's why when I was told to teach by Master YongHua, I decided to teach Pure Land. Okay, but since Pure Land, if I were to say I'm a Pure Land teacher, then I'm no different from the other Pure Land teachers who simply teach Pure Land. So I decided I'm going to teach Pure Land. I would teach Pure Land and chant at the same time, just to differentiate myself. Okay, it's if you will, it's a marketing decision. However, it turns out to be the same thing as Master YongHua decided to do, because I'm sure it hasn't changed. The situation hasn't changed much, because I look back at the Pure Land teachers the last 50, 60 years. Mostly they are Asian teachers, primarily Chinese, if you will. It's a Chinese creation, if you will. It's a Chinese invention, one of the best Chinese original invention. Instead of copying or stealing from others, it's original invention. That means that the Chinese used to have such incredible wisdom. And somehow, the last 50, 60 years, they lost it. And so it's a shame to me. So that's what I saw Master YongHua trying to tell people, him being Chinese and being classy of a monk, he would not spell it out like that to avoid confronting, avoid offending people, Chinese style. But I'm a small-time monk, so it doesn't bother me if I offend people, because it's okay to offend a few people, I guess. Okay, in my mind. If you want to convey a message, you have to take risks. You cannot be afraid to offend people, especially to the Westerners who are more open-minded than the Chinese and the Asians. The Asians feel they own the Pure Land Dharma door because it's their creation, it's their invention. It's very much like we own the atomic bomb, okay? Not the Chinese. Not the Russians. It's us who invented, the Westerners who invented the atomic bomb. No, this is our baby. Same thing. So the Asians, but in particular the Chinese, are very proud of the fact they invented the Pure Land Dharma door. Okay, but now we're turning it into a Western Dharma door by improving it drastically a lot more than the original Chinese Dharma door. Okay, to make it more suitable and more useful for the 21st century and for Westerners. Okay. Anyway, this is not about Pure Land, it's about chant class. However, in order to do it quickly, the shortcut that I chose to do as a coincidence, and that's what Master YongHua tried to do as well, without spelling it out like that. That's why I imagine that it got lost in a translation, okay, into English, into Vietnamese. But he tried to do that as well. He tried to, like a typical patriarch teacher, to build your foundation first. Your foundations, part of your foundation is to, if you have the proper foundation, your samadhi will keep improving. You don't have the proper foundation, you can spend decades or lifetimes practicing and you get nowhere. Okay, and we as a second generation of Mahayana in the West, as per Master YongHua's standards, are tasked with bringing the Mahayana to the West, and therefore we need to do a lot more than the Asians, do it better than the Asians, if you will. Because, as I said, as far as Pure Land Dharma door goes, I feel that the Asian lost their ways. They don't get it anymore. I looked at the teachers the last 50 years, borrowing from Master YongHua's teachings. It's not good enough for me personally. Okay, it would not meet my Western educated person standards. It would not meet the needs of my generation and your generation, your children's generation. So therefore, it has to change. And how are we changing that? We're changing that by doing it better than the Chinese, by the Asians, by combining both Pure Land and chant, which requires the teacher to be knowledgeable about both chant and Pure Land. Because traditionally, as per Master Huiyin, the original founder of the Chinese Pure Land Dharma door in China, he was a specialist in the Pure Land Dharma door, reciting Buddha's name. He started it. He founded that, he invented that method of practice for the Chinese. And as a result, we look at the Chinese way, I realize that later on, the greater Pure Land patriarchs actually had a chant foundation, had chant training. Okay, that's how pervasive chant is. Chant is very useful. That's why we decided to do both chant and Pure Land. All right? So that's the one thing that the Chinese lost, the Asians lost it, but we, with your help, we can improve it drastically in our era, in our times. All right? How are we going to improve drastically? By making it more useful to people. Okay? Useful in the sense that for those the Asians, those people, we cannot abandon them, who practice Pure Land Dharma doors. Yes, we provide a much better insurance for them to go to the Pure Land. We have to. We cannot. We got to ignore their suffering. They want to go to the Pure Land desperately, and looks like, to me, very unlikely they'll make it. So we need to help them, provide alternatives to them. And that's what YongHua mentioned, others help. And for those who have better blessings, who have more blessings, we can use the chant training to help teach them about Pure Land. how to do the Pure Land better. Okay, and that's what YongHua discovered herself. And so I'm very pleased that she stuck around, and things happen for a reason. She used to be overwhelmed by her Pure Land group. When you have to be the mother and the wives and the husband and the aunt and the grandmother of 100 people, okay, then you can be easily overwhelmed if your samadhi level is not enough. So I started by helping her increase her samadhi level, brought it from 2 second dhyana to 6, and I stopped. I said, 6 is pretty strong. You won't find that many monks who are at that level. I can only see a handful of monks who are better than you, so you'll be fine. You have more credibility in leading your group, okay? But eventually, things became better. She was still overwhelmed. 6 is pretty low in our world. And sure enough, she was stressed out, and her age, it's not a good thing. And actually, it further diminished her chance of getting rebirth. If you're that afflicted, your chances are not good. You practice reciting the Buddha's name, or when you practice chant, and you find yourself so afflicted every day, scheming every day, you're not in good shape, let me assure you. Look at yourself. Never mind about Pure Land people. Look at yourself. Every day, you're plotting and scheming for yourself only. Look at how often during the day you're preoccupied with that. All you're thinking about, all you're worried about is yourself. Number 1. Number 2, you're so afflicted because you are not getting what you are scheming for. If that's the case, and you don't need to raise your hands. I know who among you are like that. I mean, like, it's about 100 percentile, if I might say. Okay, so we know who you are. Let's face it. Okay, so raising your hand would be a waste of time. And would be totally unimpressive to me. So if you like that, okay, you lack the proper foundation. You lack the proper methodology to do it, to get what you want. All right. YouTube has a question. Go ahead.
Daniel asks, why did the Pure Land work at the beginning to calm the mind, but not a few months later?
A good question. Only non-Buddhists will ask such questions. We Buddhists take for granted. What is the Buddhist wisdom behind it? What is the Chan wisdom behind it? And I'm pleased that this non-Buddhist person listens and he pays attention. And like the rest of you, will like listens and, oh yeah, I heard that one before. Yeah, I heard that one before. Oh, this one, I don't know, it's kind of boring. You kind of sit there and vegetate and relax. But this non-Buddhist person here who claims to be here just to please his girlfriend actually is here to try to learn something, try to find something that he could use in his non-Buddhist life. Okay, so you Buddhists, what is it we know? What is our wisdom? Why is it when we first started Pure Land or first started Chan, we felt very peaceful, and you could say the same exact thing for this question is about YongHua starting like that. But I can tell you that 90% of the Chan practitioners out there, I don't care who you follow, whether it's Vietnamese great master, Tibetan great master, or mini great master. Okay, that's what happens to all of you. Why? The old monk, abbot of Gold Forest. Why? Green. Can't hear you. Turn the power on, switch on the power. Maybe it's not powered up. Unmute Discord. Go Forest, can you unmute Discord? Maybe it's not powered on, the green isn't powered up.
Con thấy niệm Phật không có kết quả là tại vì mọi người đều ý vào Đức Phật Di Đà giúp, cho nên niệm mà không có dứt được cái dụng từ, không có biết làm sao để mà trừ cái phiền não của mình, cho nên nó dậm chân tại chỗ.
Anyone else? If no one can answer me today, I'm very disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I would be so disappointed.
A Di Đà Phật. Dạ, thì con nghĩ là tại vì không có tiến bộ là bởi vì không có biết cách tăng trưởng định lực.
No, the question is, why is it when you first started, you quickly discovered you felt more peaceful and your concentration became better, and eventually all that concentration, all that peace disappeared. You don't feel that way anymore. You don't feel that way for very long. Why? Why not? Come on. I'm asking all of you. Yes, 8.
A Di Đà Phật. Dạ, con xin lặp lại là bởi vì tu không có tiến bộ, và không tiến bộ là bởi vì thiếu định lực.
Okay, no progress, and you don't. Your samadhi is not increasing. 8. Go ahead.
Thank you, Master. My guess is that it's layers and layers. So when I start at the beginning, I have some practice, and then I'm clearing the surface layer. And then after surface layer is cleaned, my samadhi did not improve. So I'm in the next layer, but I cannot clean that layer. And then until my samadhi improves again, then I can clean the next layer.
Okay, you too, go ahead.
As San Jose 2008 says, because you need a good knowing advisor.
Anyone else? Number 8.
It's because when you begin, one of the first accomplishments is that you can see the third great truth, that there is a way to end suffering.
Okay, you too.
Relax Nation says, because one's attention span gets greater.
Anyone else? No one can get this? No one understands why? And you can teach Chan? Really? You've been practicing Chan, you don't get it. I can understand that. But for those of you who've been teaching Chan, you can't even answer this question? The non-Buddhists are laughing at you. Go ahead, you two.
Hasim says, because there's too much craving.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Orange, 9.
Because I think you probably need blessings. You need blessings to be able to improve.
That's it? That's all you got? Yes, 5.
My perspective is the stage of honeymoon is over. Okay, obstruction.
Okay, anyone else? Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật, con nhớ là trong cái bài giảng 100 ngày thiền thất của Hòa Thượng Tương Hóa đó, những cái kết quả của tu của mình giàu tịnh độ hay là thiền tông gì cũng vậy á, Hòa Thượng nó bắt buộc là phải qua cái thế kiết già mới đi tới được những cảnh giới đó, chứ không bỏ thế kiết già thì không có tới.
YouTube.
Trin says, because your obstructions are trying to stop you.
Anyone else? YouTube.
Cordelia says, because new affliction arises.
Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật. Dạ, theo cái kinh nghiệm của con á, thì ban đầu mới tu á, thì mình hăng hái, mình nhiếp tâm rất là dễ. Nhưng mà từ từ về sau á, cái tiếng niệm Phật nó trở thành máy móc.
Okay, Q&A.
Có tiếng mà không có tâm ở trong đó.
Okay, Q&A. That's it? Okay. None of you comes even close. Come to think of it, I don't think any of Master YongHua's disciples would be able to answer that either. You too.
Jesus says, it is because until one is at a certain level, one cannot see the real problems.
No, 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 no. Anything else? Anyone else? Why don't I give you more time to research? Or would you like me to give you an answer so that you don't have to work for it? This is a personal challenge to you, from me to you. You can't even figure this thing out? Then how can you possibly claim you understand Chan at all? I challenge you to go back and call and submit questions to all the Chan masters out there. Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, I don't care, ask them. Especially to those who call themselves Chan masters. It's most of fundamental problems that cultivators have, not just Chan school, but Pure Land school as well. tantric school as well. Yes, 5.
I need some help to translate this Chinese to English. So you said we need 精真. How to say it in English? 精真. So is my Cantonese Mandarin has a problems here. 精真 moving forward. 精 concentrate moving forward. 精真. Yeah, vigorously. And then which require more blessings. 精真 forward. 真不. So my Mandarin is really problematic in here.
精进.
Yeah, 精 like yeah. Master understand my Mandarin.
Because Cantonese came from Vietnamese, that's why.
Yes.
Okay, very good. YouTube answer.
Hey Yun says, because retribution and creditors are coming.
No. Anyone else? Look at who the troublemaker is. He showed up. He's the source of your embarrassments, all of you. Look at that. A non-Buddhist embarrassing you, faithful Buddhists and faithful Buddhist teachers. Those of you who also even claim they are professional Chan practitioners as Chan teachers.
Next time he will bring Pope Francis to this temple.
Shame on you. Seriously. This is all you got from all these years of practicing Chan and teaching Chan? This is all you get? I saw this problem when I first started 15 years ago already. Yes, number 8.
Cause for whack answers. Is it because after I realized there's this peaceful feeling, the next time I sit down, meditate, or I recite, I'll try to look for it. And that changes the dynamics.
Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật. Dạ, theo con hiểu cái căn bản của sự tu thiền đó là mình không có đặt cái lòng tham. Mà tu tịnh độ thì ai nấy là cứ nói là tôi muốn sanh về cực lạc. Thì cái đó là tạo cái sự chấp trước. Vì khi có chấp trước rồi thì nó sẽ cản trở sự tiến bộ.
Anyone else? I'm so afflicted. You are total disappointments. I cannot believe it. I've been teaching you for 10, 15 years. You still don't get it. Because you don't get it, I'm not going to bother explaining either, just to punish you. You deserve it. You don't deserve to get the answers from me. Okay? I really want to get the Catholic despising you. The non-Buddhists say, you Buddhists claim you understand Chan and so forth. Second and third generations, and you don't understand a damn thing about Chan. Huh? Is that what crosses your mind right now? Is these people, they're so stupid. Huh? No wonder. They're such losers. No wonder they cannot convert any Christian or Catholic over to Buddhism. Huh? You can't even answer such a fundamental question, such a fundamental issue. How can you possibly, especially those of you who look at yourself as teachers, I'm talking about you. Especially you, descendants of the great patriarchs. Can you answer this? And this, the lack of an answer to this demonstrates the depth, the lack of depth of understanding of Chan, of understanding of Pure Land, of understanding of Tantra. That's why I want to give you time to do your own research or search your soul for the answer. Because you can't. That means that you're inferior. Facts speaks for themselves. You cannot understand a fundamental issue. If people don't practice, I have no problems. If people practice, especially those of you who stand up here like me, trying to teach others how to meditate, how to recite the Buddha's name, how to recite mantras, you don't understand this problem, this issue. How could you possibly teach anyone without my help? You too, go ahead.
Charlie says, because you become complacent in your practice because you think you already accomplished something.
Q&A.
Hello, Master. Is that faith, niềm tin?
Anyone else? You too.
Yeah. Trin says, maybe because the point is not to calm your mind and not the goal of our practices.
Go back to China and you see you find the answer in China. Anyone else? Can you see why I'm so afflicted? It's such a fundamental issue, and yet none of you gets it. Okay? I want to stop here because I want to make you feel bad. You should be ashamed of yourself. All of you. So far, maybe give you another 7 days to ponder, to research, ask around, get together, debate it, discuss it. Huh? Because are you going to let these non-Buddhists laugh at you? Seriously? Seriously? Would you let it happen? Because right now it's going to be on YouTube and on the internet, and the topic is that the Catholics are laughing at the Chan practitioners, Chan teachers. Yes, 8.
Master, could you repeat the question that we're trying to seek the answer for?
Ask your neighbor. I'm so afflicted. I don't even want to spell out the problem so that the Catholics, all the Catholics and all the non-Buddhists would be, would make fun of us, all of you. Especially if I'm hit by a bus, within 7 days, okay, before I give you the answer. Imagine the kind of party he's going to have. A carnival for the non-Buddhists have. The Buddhists are losers, okay? Especially Master YongHua disciples are all losers. You too, go ahead. This is why I'm so afflicted.
Zi Hong says, because when one grows an inch, the demon grows 10 times that because of the progress.
Not bad, but Q&A. You're going to answer your own question? You're not going to gloat on this for 7 days? You kidding me? I would not even bother adding anything myself. I would wait for 7 days to let these people sweat it out. Because it's not in any Chan books. It's not in any Chan teachers' explanations. That's why they're at a loss. These people are totally dependent on someone else to tell them what to do. Explain everything to them. Yes, Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật. Dạ thưa thầy, con nghĩ đơn giản là những người trong vòng mấy chục năm nay, ví dụ người dẫn đường chỉ có thể thấy cái khoảng đường gần, thì những cái người đi theo cũng không thể nào đi xa hơn được.
YouTube.
Sarah says it's because it is incomplete and temporary.
Okay. If I told you the answer right now, okay, it would not be fair to the non-Buddhists. We should be ashamed of yourselves. So let's end here, and that give you a chance to go back and do your research in your look through your resources. And if you cannot find anything, call and submit a question to the so-called experts of Chan, the experts of Pure Land. Same question. I've been reciting this mantra at first. When I first started, I felt good and I felt very peaceful. And my concentration increased, but it wasn't long before I lost all of it. Yes, Kath.
Hello, could it be that because, for example, in my own life, sometimes I've gone through, like, I go to this stage where I feel close to God, and then there is adversity, there is challenges, even attacks from evil, and then sometimes I have to drop down, and then I have to go ahead and then continue to go through this struggle. So I don't know if it has to do with karma or with
In other words, if I may paraphrase it, in other words, it's God's fault.
No, never.
Go ahead, Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật. Con thấy là tịnh tông, mật tông, thiền tông thì là cái phương tiện gọt rửa để cho mình giác ngộ được cái thân tâm mình này là nó một cái ảo giác, một cái quả báo ảo giác của mình. Mình dùng cái thân mình nghĩ thật và cái tâm này thật.
I don't bother translating from the Vietnamese to English to save you time because it's nonsense. You too.
San Jose 2008 says it's because you cannot solve your own obstruction.
I'd like to have some kind of someone goes by the name Olympics 2021 for a change. Let's live with the times, keep up with the times, folks. Yes, number 5.
I would suggest if I were a monk and a Chan master, like my master, I would suggest try repentance.
Number 8.
Okay, one last try. Does the good feelings and the peaceful feelings come from small improvements? And then when the small improvement stops, there's no more?
Except for 1 or 2 that came a little bit close, that came into the neighborhood. The rest of your answers suck badly. Really, really suck. Okay, and I'm gonna stop right here because I really am afflicted. I want to stay afflicted like this for a week. Okay, because you caused it. I want you to know that. I want you to go home and should feel ashamed of yourself. That after my 15 years of teaching you, or Master YongHua's 50 years of teaching you, okay, and you cannot give me the answer to this. Shame on you. I don't feel like eating lunch even.